Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's show. Today we have Shannon Watson, who is a specialist in the stretching industry. She's a registered nurse, tons of experience. She's worked with professional athletes, almost anybody that you can imagine. And she has her own in-person classes, but she also has some online stuff too. So we hope that you enjoy your show. Everyone, welcome to Here for the Health of It podcast. I'm Dr. Randy here with Dr. Tom. As always, thanks for listening and checking out all our social media handles, HFTHOI, or just search in Here for the Health of It podcast and you'll find us there. So we have a great guest today. We have Shannon Watson, who is the CEO and owner. You're CEO, right?
You can call me that.
Of swatsonsolutions, LLC. You can find her on Shannon Watson 825, or you can email her. Do you want us to give your email?
Sure.
Yeah. All right.
Or head to the website.
Who uses email?
I know.
Gmail. I think Gmail's a big deal.
You guys can send me a letter by mail anytime you want. I think if they head to Instagram, they can DM me. They can head to the website. It's fine.
All right. Yeah. Maybe just use Instagram. That seems easier. So usually we like to start with something fun. So here's what I was wondering. What celebrity do Tom and I remind you of the most?
Ooh. Feel free to think handsome.
It could be energy or our looks.
That's a good question. If I could remember any of their names, I probably would have a witty answer for you.
You could just say the guy from
like
Thor.
Mark Wahlberg. Like Randy likes Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah.
He thinks he looks a lot
you
like
could say the lead character
Gladiator.
in Troy. Yes.
Well, let's go with that.
So, all right. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm a registered nurse. I've been a nurse for almost, 15 years now. And all I do is stretch, breath work, athletic recovery. I have 2 kids. I'm married, stuck here in Columbia.
You don't love Columbia?
It's better and better every year. Yes.
Are you from here?
No, I grew up in northern Michigan. So I grew up in a small town. Ended up here for nursing
Yeah, what's
school.
in northern Michigan?
Nothing.
Snow.
Lakes, beautiful lakes, beaches, small town. I mean, it's wholesome, but what do y'all want to know?
How'd you get down here?
My mom started spending winters in Hilton Head, and so when I graduated from high school, I decided I didn't want to live in the snow anymore. I had spent a year in Brazil as an exchange student and realized there were places that didn't have the weather that northern Michigan had, and I kind of used it as an opportunity to still live close to some family, but leave the winters. So I came down here, went to nursing school, and just stayed.
What appeals to being a nurse?
For me?
Yeah.
Actually, honestly, I didn't have, I want to be a nurse. I know I want to be a nurse. My mom's a nurse. So she always said, you just need to get a good job where you can pay the bills. And if you're a nurse, you're always going to have health insurance because the hospital is going to provide it for you. You're going to work 3 days a week. It's 3 12-hour shifts. You're going to have flexibility. You'll always have a job. You can change what area you work in. If you don't you start in pediatrics, you don't like pediatrics, nurses can shift here and there. So I think it was just kind of a utility type decision. I'm going to do nursing. So, and then I wanted to do cardiac care. So I ended up specializing in heart and lung surgery. Okay. And so the first 8 years of my career were in a step down heart and lung surgery unit.
Wow. Nursing seems like it is a stable job. And I don't think if someone doesn't know what they're going to do, it never really hurts to get a degree that you need a license to do.
Yeah.
Humanities degrees, psychology degrees, liberal arts degrees. They're so expensive, and I just don't know why people keep going so deeply into debt for them. But a nursing degree, you can do a ton of stuff.
And there's always a shortage in healthcare. You're not worried about a job. And even 15 years ago, you weren't worried about a job. There's still shortages in healthcare. So it was really just probably a decision, just a wise decision, I suppose. Not this is my passion. I want to be a nurse, want to help people. I do like caring for people because that's what keeps you in it. Right. You cannot survive in healthcare if you do not have a passion for people and you don't really actually want to help people and care for them. The job is too hard. It's super stressful. So I think down at the core of it, you have to want to care for
Yeah.
people. You
Mhm.
have to have that desire, that intrinsic desire to do it, or you wouldn't make it through school. You wouldn't make it through the training. You wouldn't keep doing the job for sure. But yeah,
Did you like the human body? Like when you were in high school and college, like did you like anatomy and all that stuff?
not really. I mean, I don't. I mean, I've always been an active individual. I've
Yeah.
always been into like be into sports and biking and rollerblading and being outside and being physically active. I like science. I like psychology. I mean, I'm interested in all understanding those things, but I wasn't like a great biology student that just loves biology. And
Right.
I love A&P and stuff like that. I'm very good at it. I mean, I graduated with honors. I figured out how to study by the time I got to college. I did really well. I applied myself. But no, I mean,
Today's episode is brought to you by our sponsor, Columbia Family Chiropractic, with 3 easy-to-get-to locations, one in Forest Acres, which is by Trader Joe's, one in O'Neill Court by the DMV, and one in the Northeast by Sand Hills. You'll be sure to have somewhere near you. They offer a ton of services from corrective care, on-site digital x-rays, spinal decompression for bulging or herniated discs, dry needling for injuries, pediatric care, and a Class 4 laser. They accept all your major insurances. And if you mention this ad, you'll get a discount on your first appointment. Check out their website at cfc4health.com or Google Columbia Family Chiropractic. That's cfc4health.com.
Just kind of one of those things. Are you still practicing nursing?
I practice stretch therapy. So I stretch people one-on-one.
At
And
the
that
hospital
is-
or
I have a
No.
private practice,
Oh,
and
nice.
that is underneath my nursing license. So you need to have a license. You could debate this state to state.
yeah.
But in order to, and you guys probably have an opinion on this, but in order to manipulate the body,
Mhm.
you should have a license.
Right.
So chiropractor, physician, registered nurse, massage therapist, physical therapist, highly trained strength and conditioning coach.
Yeah.
Depending on the state that you live in, that can be a gray area, but fitness professionals that are highly trained and certified could fall into that aspect. So this is my nursing practice.
Gotcha. So
Yeah.
when did you know that you wanted to be like hands-on, stretching, touching people? Was it in the nursing world when you were rolling people out of bed? You were like, I
No.
really like getting my hands on people.
And there it goes. And it digresses from here. I'm just kidding. No, it's like the story. Everybody always asks me that, like, how did you get into this? Like,
Mhm.
how in the world did you end up? I mean, if you look at what I'm doing now, so just to kind of unpack it, fast forward from nursing and working in the hospital, now I do stretch therapy, which is like one-on-one stretching people. Like I am completely stretching your body out. You're really not doing anything. I'm using a blend of compressions, like pressing on the muscles and stretch, and it's active and dynamic. So I'm moving your body constantly. So that is the one-on-one work that I do. And then in group settings, I've developed like a program, a stretch and breathwork program. So it is really static stretch or deep stretching, holding stretches for the whole body. And it's blended with muscle releases. So we use like the release balls, and the base of it is a mindfulness-based stress reduction program. So there's like an 8-week mindfulness meditation, breathwork-based stress reduction program that is the underlying part of this program. And then you're moving through all these deep stretches. And I work with, and I have ended up getting into athletics, and I work with professional athletes in the NBA, Major League Baseball, the NFL, USC teams. I started with women's tennis. I've got men's basketball, women's basketball, softball, all the pitchers from the baseball team.
Wow.
Minor league soccer pro teams. I mean, I've probably worked with someone in every sport you can think of. I had a professional jet skier come
Really?
to me. Yeah.
Like
I
a
didn't know it
racer?
was a thing. Yeah. They
No
go to
kidding.
Florida and they like ride the waves and race jet skis and horses. I've had lots of like people that do dressage or even breeze the horses. So preparing these horses to race. And so I've learned so much about these different sports and what they do to your body, which you don't realize. And so there wasn't a clear path of like, I think I want to do this for a living. I work in the hospital. I'm in cardiac surgery. It has nothing to do with this. But I'll try to be quick about the story. I had practiced like yoga, and I love yin style yoga, which is a slower style of yoga. And I have practiced that for like 22 years now. And I had 2 kids. I was staying home, and I was going crazy, just not doing anything.
Right.
Like the pace of nursing, going from like working in the hospital to like I'm doing very little, and I'm not very intellectually stimulated anymore, and I'm not working, I'm not grinding. Like I have got to do something. So I decided I was going to teach fitness classes. So I just applied to be a cycle instructor, and I like went through the whole process, and that's a whole nother thing. But the owner of the gym asked me, this is when Hyperice products were first coming out like onto the market. So those are the guns. You guys know what they're Hyperice.
Oh,
they were kind of the first
like
company
Theragun.
the Theragun, Hyperice. They're these percussion guns. They have little balls that vibrate, foam rollers that vibrate. They have a ton of different products now. So they were just emerging into the consumer market back then. It was like 8 years ago. And the gym owner said, I really want to develop a recovery class. These are going to be the next thing. Right. This is the next thing. And it has become the next thing. Sure. It is the thing right now. So this is 8 years ago. And he said, I want you to develop this class. And so that kind of launched me into researching what is athletic recovery? What is recovery? How do I create a class that takes all these different components and puts them all together? And he wanted to use those products for the class. And so that was the beginning of developing the method. And so I pulled from I decided it needed to be evidence-based. I'm a healthcare practitioner. It needs to be something that works. I don't want to sell snake oil. I want people to come back. I really want this to work. I want to do a good job. So I just pulled literature and research and started putting things together and got as many of those components of athletic recovery as I could into one class. So that's kind of how it started.
Tom's recovery is terrible.
I'm bad.
Most people's recovery is terrible.
Do you ever use the Whoop recovery thing?
One
No.
of these little guys?
If someone says that
Or
they
a
have an
ring.
8% recovery?
You ever do
rings.
like the Oura ring?
I don't use them anymore, and that's just a personal decision for me, is because I get caught up in the numbers.
Right.
And so I practice mindfulness, and mindfulness is really about mind-body awareness and knowing your body and feeling your body. And so I love those devices, and I think they're important. I like to know how I feel. And if I am not sleeping well, I know what that feels like.
Yeah.
And so I guide myself over the years. I used to use tech like that, but I just like to listen to my body now and make choices daily based on that, if that makes sense.
I think I've gotten unhealthy wearing it.
Why?
I don't know. I feel like now knowing my numbers, I'm getting worse.
You know how crappy it is.
Yeah.
I can't listen. I'm bad at listening to my body. I don't know what that means really. The way that I would know that I was actually not feeling good and not just hurt from the workout before was through my Oura ring.
Right. I mean, it makes sense.
I'd be like, I kind of wake up. If I work out every single day, I wake up feeling sore most days. And half the time I don't know if I got choked out in jujitsu. I don't know if it's because I got kicked in the head. I just tried this new spin class the other day. Which that doesn't feel good. I was the youngest person there by probably 20 years.
How many males were in this?
There was 3 of us. There's a 75-year-old. There's 3 guys that are always in the back, and they're in their 70s. And I was just in there grinding away. And it was fun. It was like a recovery day for me, but I don't really know what that means, recovery, because I went in there and I just was I'll just cycle. I don't feel like lifting, which for everybody that's wondering, I've been putting up 90-pound dumbbells on shoulder press.
We got to put that video on.
So I need some recovery.
Yeah. I think the devices are really important for people like you and for people to start. And it's interesting. It's interesting to know, but recovery, the goal of recovery is to help facilitate your body's regeneration, right? So sleep, hydration, nutrition, stretch, breath work, super powerful for that. shifting your body's nervous system into the side, the parasympathetic side, the side that's responsible for smooth muscle relaxation, for improving digestion, which is really important for taking in the nutrients and taking in the hydration, which is all part of the recovery. So those are the components: compression, massage, soft tissue, chiropractic adjustments, stuff like that all falls into recovery. I would say a intense cycle class is not a recovery day. I would.
What? How would I recover? How do I know if I need to recover? This is
how you would recover. So you need to have built-in recovery. This is my opinion. You probably shouldn't go hard 7 days a week.
Right. That you shouldn't just go until you can't go anymore.
Right.
I agree with that.
You need a rest day, and this is your rest day. The program that I developed, if you look at it from the athletic standpoint, anybody can do it. It's 1 day a week. You're doing one of my classes a week.
1 hour, 1 day a week.
Yeah. And most of the classes are less than 1 hour, but that's where you start. And that is your rest day. And especially for people who like to go hard all the time, for like that, some of that gym mentality, it's so hard to have a day off. Your body is like, oh, I need to do something. I got to do something. And most people will go and hit the gym again. Mm-hmm. This is what the Total Body Reset program is: the active recovery day. It's an active flush. So it's like, it is going to help flush out what makes you sore, where you get that delayed onset muscle soreness, you get that fatigue. You need to move. You can also swim. Swimming is really good for that, or biking, getting on a bike, like not intense, but just a little
coasting
bike.
downhill.
Oh yeah.
Those are also
they're telling you stand up and you're just the guy that's sitting there pedaling slowly.
Tell them you're recovering.
Recovery day. Don't judge me.
This is active recovery. It's an active flush. My program does a lot more than that, but I would say for an athlete or somebody that's working out all the time, you just insert it on your day off. Maybe you hit the gym Monday, Tuesday, you do this on Wednesday, you hit the gym Thursday, Friday, or whatever. You know what I mean? And it's a virtual program, so I designed it to be versatile in your schedule individually. So you would use it when it works for you. That's cool. It's not rigid. I want to get away from that rigid, fixed mindset and give people these tools and then let them become empowered to use them how they work best for them, because that's going to be success. Yep. If I'm like, you have to do this every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 a.m., most people are not going to succeed over time.
Yep. And just so that everybody knows what you're talking about, you have an 8-week total body reset. It's all virtual. Mm-hmm. And it says it's an 8-week evidence-based stretch and mobility program formed on the principles of athletic recovery and the practice of mindfulness-based stress reduction. So your pitchers from baseball, what's their biggest issue? Mobility, stress, mentality, injuries, or longevity? All of them.
I would say it's all of them. I try to address all of them, but I think it depends on what they're trying to do. I think mobility.
Shoulder mobility?
Most of the time, it depends on the sport. Most of the time in baseball with pitchers, they're really open up top already, and their T-spine rotation is really good because of 20 years of the movements that they've been doing, and it's their hips that are crap. Oh. It's the same with basketball. It's usually like hips down, waist down that needs more like serious attention. They need mobility, and they need to improve their mobility and maximize their mobility through their entire body. They need to recover through their entire body. But when you see each sport, their bodies look completely different. When I stretch them, I can tell what sport they play.
Really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What sport do you think Tom plays?
Gladiator.
I'm a fighter.
Gladiator sport. So in baseball, like it's usually they need hips, hip flexors, psoas, hamstrings, glutes.
Who wouldn't need that?
They all do. But like basketball, their ankles are always crap.
I can see that.
Their upper body and their shoulders are way open. Football is the opposite. In most cases, they obsess over the hips, most of them, and they obsess over hip mobility.
Interesting.
Even though a lot of them are still really tight, especially on the line. But they obsess about, which is fine and great, they obsess about the lower body, and then they lift so heavy. Their upper bodies are really tight.
Really?
Yes. Their T-spines need better mobility. Their chests are super tight. They have tons of muscle mass. Like they're not paying the right attention to the whole body. But that's usually what I see show up. And every position is different too. So
do you like a nice meaty person to come in? Like these athletes I'm thinking about.
The beefier, the better.
Yeah, like their legs have to be the size of your body.
It depends on their position. I started doing this with football, with pro and college football, and I have learned over these years that when somebody calls me to work with someone, I always ask, like, well, what position do they play?
Right.
Like, I had him call me about a guy coming out of the University of South Carolina, getting ready to go pro. He still plays pro. He's very good. And he's like, can you work with him? He's about to go to pro day, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, sure. What position does he play? Ends up being 6'5", 310, something like that.
What do you do with that? Yeah.
You do the
bring a pulley system and
Well,
a couple spotters.
You bring a friend.
Ends up being a combination of the class, making them do the mobility and them do the stretch, and then I'll do some stuff I can do. But I can't move like a 300-pound guy's torso around, and but I mean, I've stretched.
Do you like a nice long limb? Say it's like a basketball player. Like the longer the limb, the better. Or do you want like a little short guy like this?
Yeah,
like this little.
I understand his question. He's saying like, oh, I love a big beefy leg, or I love like a long skinny leg to stretch.
What do you like to work on to stretch?
Whoever pays the bill. I like great clients who are super consistent that are going to pay for their stretch, but you know, I love a challenge, so it doesn't really matter to me. I don't have a preference. I would say a fit female is easier to stretch.
Right.
And you know what is surprising, to be all serious? It's harder on my body to stretch a shorter woman because I'm bending more to actually stretch their body, because I stretch on a mat and not a table, because it's a Thai-based kind of style. So we're down on a mat. And so that is the one thing that's surprising. But no, I don't care.
Is there like, what's your ideal size? Like a 6 foot?
I am not cracking a joke right now. I'm not going to do it. I am not. I want to. I could. Just know I could. It's there. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. You're not going to get it out of me.
All right. Fair enough. Now, what about...
Okay, 6'3" and 220. Like, it's right there.
We knew if there was a long enough silence, you could come out.
How many times do I have to ask people? I'm just kidding. That's not true.
Now, do you have any thoughts on ice? People that are using ice as recovery.
I would say I'm not the expert to ask about that.
Do you like the getting in the ice bath?
I think there's a ton of benefit to cold water therapy.
Yeah.
I think contrast therapy, based on the literature that I've read, I think contrast is probably the best. I think there are better people to ask that question to than me, but I will tell you from what I have learned, contrast is probably the best. I think what they're starting to understand now is that the optimal temperature can actually be different between male and female.
Yeah.
So there's some of that stuff will start coming out soon. I think the best thing is to shiver. You want to get in something cold enough to shiver for 2 minutes straight. You can do that if you are, on a budget. You can jump in the river or the lake and get deep enough or in cold enough water where you're shivering for 2 minutes and get out. That's great. You can try it in the shower. Some will say to point the shower head at your heart, the center of your body, where core temperature regulation is. Get it as cold as you possibly can. I don't know that that's quite cold enough, but
I like to ease into it if I'm going to do it.
So
I go
hard.
Like hot and then just kind of bring it down slow. Does that count? I mean, because it generally feels comfortable.
And then what do? Do you just stay in the cold water?
Maybe like 10 seconds or so. And then
I think you need to keep working on it. It's so hard. It really is. It's such a discipline. And I actually, so part of my program is stress resilience. So I get people into an uncomfortable position. And there is a mental program. So they're working on mental resilience in my classes. And so they're getting uncomfortable, and I'm using stretch. I'm getting them to the end range of stretch and stretch tolerance, making them uncomfortable. Some professionals do the same. And then I get them to do the breath work. And some in the world of athletics and performance do the same thing with cold water therapy. So it's so uncomfortable. It's such a distressor. And you get in there and you do your breath work and you try to keep your mind, and your body calm while you're in there. But from what it sounds like, you need to keep working on it.
I do. I really do.
I'm not good at it. I can get in for like 20 seconds. That's one discipline that I know I need to do better on for sure.
I like it. It feels good afterwards, and I agree with the contrast. The best I ever feel is when I'm doing contrast, like sauna into a cold plunge or sauna into a hot tub.
2 minutes on, 2 minutes hot, 2 minutes cold, 6 minutes top, done. Is probably the best practice.
I feel like my mindfulness is saying, don't do that ever again. You know what I mean? Like, when
that's not your mindfulness.
I'm listening to my mindfulness and it's saying, like, do not get in this cold water.
Yep.
Like nature. I mean, I might fall into cold water like once in my life.
That sounds, if from my perspective, like you're avoiding
Discomfort.
Distress. You're avoiding discomfort.
100.
That is one of your core tenets.
That is big for me.
And there's nothing wrong with that, but
I mean, some
you want to work on that?
Who doesn't love comfortable anything?
Right?
Some people have got to be such babies when it comes to being stretched too. And I'm curious,
like any grunting, squealing,
or even just feeling nauseous when someone's stretching you, just because it's so uncomfortable. If someone really stretches your hip or really stretches your shoulder,
do they sweat? Are people sweating during this?
No, because
crying?
I'm sweating because I'm doing the work. They're not doing anything. No, my clients love being stretched by me.
Are they tap? Do you have a tap out? Do you have a safe word?
Only with a few. They never tap out. I think it depends on the practitioner though, and how. So there's it's an art to stretching somebody, and you can take them too far. And if you go to a scaled version, they're gonna kind of they're gonna be like, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the worst pain you've ever felt. I want to get you to a 6. When you get to a 6, let me know how you feel. I don't need to do that. I usually just take them almost to their end range and move straight through it. So, I've never had anybody complain, and most of them come back. And but in the classes, if you are practicing correctly, you should be uncomfortable. And then we do the breath work. But your body will not change if you do not get uncomfortable. Your range of motion will not change if you're not taking yourself to your end range and holding it. So if you really actually want the results, and in the performance world, it really matters. I mean, tiny bit of your fingertips going up higher is a block. It's a play. You know what I mean?
Point.
It's speed. It's all this stuff. So it's super important. So in performance work, I think the discomfort is worth it.
I picture basketball and soccer being the softest.
Good try, big guy.
And then I think just in general, like
Here's
they would just
I know where he's going.
You know exactly, because I feel like they would complain a lot. They would be
it's probably football players
overestimate
and hockey players.
No, football and hockey, I could see saying like, "Oh, I'm fine," when they're not, or "Yeah, keep going," even though they're at their end point. Versus, versus like you get a basketball player in there, you just touch them, they're like, "Ah, that hurts. I'm out. I need a note for 2 weeks."
They work so hard out there.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't
no
have
comment.
A comment.
Jet skiers. I can see jet skiers being pretty tough.
The toughest.
What muscles in a jet ski? Is it shoulder?
Gotta be
jet skiing is a lot like riding a horse. If you think about it, impact, and to stay on the jet ski, which is the same thing as horseback riding, they're having to squeeze at inner thighs, calves, hips. I mean, their backs are all jacked up too, but it's kind of like that same as horseback riding, sort of.
Do you want them to lay limp when you're doing these one-on-ones?
Yes.
So you like literally like just a dead body that you're working on.
Yep. The one.
Once I think
I don't know, not aggressive.
I think of just going real limp and letting her do her thing.
Yeah, it's hard for some people though, because you're having to like let go of control of your body to another person, and
that would be
so
tough
it's like
for me.
a lot of people.
I couldn't. I would be like, I know you're gonna pull it too far and hurt me.
You have trust issues.
I must.
Super soft.
So yeah, I mean, a lot of times the first time somebody comes for a stretch, and they'll just like, I don't know what to do. Am I supposed to help you stretch me? I don't know how to move. Or I don't want to let you stretch me. And That's fine.
Do
We
you
work
ma-
through it. It's fine.
Do you make eye contact during stretching, or what should the client
Why?
do?
Do you think it would be weird? I'm gonna make eye contact with you for the rest of this
I don't
interview.
know. I think of like a massage therapist.
Staring deeply into your eyes.
Like when they have me go face up, I like make sure to not look at them. Yeah, I'm like, I don't know what to do. It could be really weird if they're like staring at me.
I don't think you should come for a stretch.
No, that's too much. There's too much eye contact during it.
She wants anyone that pays except for you.
There's a couple. Yeah, we need a list of creepy things you can't do during this.
I mean, do you want a real answer?
Yeah.
So,
You
okay, here's what I tell people. First of all, you're fully clothed when I
Okay.
stretch you. So some people like that better. They don't want to go to a massage therapist and be naked and have oil
Right.
and whatever. Some people, you're fully clothed. Okay. It's a
Alright.
dry session. It's Thai based. That's the style.
no
So for
naked stretching. Let
yeah.
me
So for people
jot
who
that
don't feel
down.
comfortable or don't want to do that,
Right.
don't like that experience, this is something that's more appealing to them. They need the stretch. Everybody needs the
Yeah.
stretch anyway.
Mhm.
And then the other thing is, I guess if you don't want to make eye contact with anyone, the lights are
Like, if you
on
had
in
any
my
weird-
room too.
Have you had any weird like just all right? You're holding eye contact too long.
No, I always tell people this is your stretch. You do what you want. If you want to have a
Just stare
conversation
at
with
you.
me, you have a conversation with me. If you want to pass out, you pass out. I have some clients that close their eyes. A lot of clients close their eyes, just let me stretch
Yeah.
them. Some people talk a little bit, and then they don't talk anymore.
Anybody request a blindfold or anything like that?
I have
Just to-
sensory deprivation, and that's actually a beneficial thing.
really?
And I thought about it.
Or like
Ear
like
plugs.
plug
Yes,
their ears.
yeah. And I thought about it, and I think it's
Does it get into the weird category?
yes. And I don't think it works
Okay.
for what I do.
Okay.
However, it works in mindfulness-based meditation, and it works for breath work. I mean, that is, turn inward, close your eyes, decrease what you're seeing, focus on other things. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
There's some muscles that I just think are tight on me that I don't expect, like my sartorius or some of my calf muscles are
calves
just
are,
weird.
no one pays attention to
They're
their
weird.
calves.
Yeah, no matter how much I stretch them, I just feel like they don't get better.
You should do
Dude, I
my
bet your feet are
calf,
just-
ankle, and foot class. One of
oh,
the
you
classes
have
in
a
the
calf
8-week
ankle?
is
Oh,
like
that's
calf,
cool.
ankle, foot focus. You should roll your calves and
I
use a
don't-
percussion
yeah.
gun and get soft tissue on them
Talk
and
about
stretch them.
uncomfortable.
I know.
Oh.
I don't picture I feel like your feet just stay stiff like this. Like I can't even picture your foot doing this. That's what I envision. Is this how stiff
I
it
have
is?
my feet are so wide
Oh
that
God, they're
that I have great stability with very little movement.
Do you use toe spreaders? Let's talk about that.
I
What's your opinion?
I
I
haven't
just
used
bought
that,
a
but
set of those.
Did you use them yet?
Not yet. They
They're
haven't
going to
come
be
in.
uncomfortable, so you may not like
Really?
them. Mhm.
I'm into that stuff though, like spreading the toes
Mhm.
out.
Yeah.
Is there any weird parts of the body that you stretch, like toes or fingers?
I stretch toes for sure. I think a lot of people need footwork, especially
Right.
athletes. But what I will say here is 70% of my clients are not athletes. The total
nice.
body reset is created for the general population. It's longevity work. Most of the people coming to me, they either have something going on where they know they need stretch as a treatment, like hip pain, back pain, neck pain, or they just know they like it and they need it and they want it. So this is just not athlete specific work, but I will say that the toe spreaders and stuff are really beneficial for athletes because they're getting their feet taped so much. I mean,
Right.
they're in these shoes and cleats all the time. And so I actually have some athletes who, I stretch through their toes, it's more dynamic. So it's not going to make like a real lasting difference unless they get toe spreaders and get their shoes off their feet and start, just letting their feet be
Right.
free, I guess you could say. But
How do you think my ankle mobility is?
that's all right.
That's more than I
Pretty
thought
good.
it was.
The
Yeah,
other
I've
way,
got good
too.
mobility. Yeah, in and out.
All around the circle.
Invert.
Get it,
See, with hockey
I
skates,
don't know if that's good.
See, hockey skates actually have a good amount of movement.
It's
you play
it's
hockey?
changing. Yeah. Well,
He did.
I used to, but they used to be not that stiff, so you had a lot of movement. But then you take a puck off your ankle and you just want
some more
hard
padding,
plastic,
like a
there.
rollerblade.
So they're getting strong. Yeah, they're getting stronger and stronger. But you tape them pretty tight. There's not a ton of ankle mobility in it.
I haven't had a professional hockey player. I have a guy who plays hockey in the virtual and loves it.
The
virtual program. He does all the virtual
What's that
classes,
mean?
the total body
Virtual
reset.
hockey.
No, he does
I was
my
gonna say-
classes virtually.
Okay.
He takes my classes
see.
virtually. He doesn't play professional
little
hockey, but he
slow.
regularly plays hockey here.
I just feel stiff every time I move. I feel like I got to stretch.
You should.
Have
You know what the literature
dad
says?
stretching?
Like I'm just.
have you seen those videos of dads stretching at the airport?
Show us.
There's just a
It's a
normal,
little bit of-
like they're just always kind of like doing
That is a
this and, like,
dad gladiator
that's
stretch.
exactly it.
they're in line at the airport waiting to get
Stay
on the
limber.
airplane, and they're
I feel like it never feels loose. Like you just are always the same. You could do the same movement over and over.
It probably.
I agree with I agree with that.
I think it's because we're under low level chronic stress all the time.
Right.
And so
Mhm.
you've got low level sympathetic stimulation in your body. And so you're hypertonic everywhere, probably all the time.
Yeah.
And that's why my work is to kind of try to counteract that, shift people parasympathetic as much as possible, give them the skills they need to start relaxing their muscles. You know, I mean, so the evidence says a good stretch protocol, you need to stretch every muscle 5 minutes per week, which is a lot.
That is a lot.
It is a lot.
Isn't there like 200?
200 muscles.
I mean, every
206
muscle
muscles?
group for 5 minutes would be like a full body 1 minute stretch on every muscle 5 days a week. Nobody's doing that.
That's
but
1,000
What about
minutes of
face
stretching.
muscles?
I was
Like-
thinking about jaw
Mhm.
too. Yeah.
Face, head.
I do a
all
lot of
it?
the jaw and the mindfulness stuff.
You do
and-
internal, like
Mm-mm,
You don't
I
do
don't
that?
do any of that stuff. But relaxing the jaw, focusing on the jaw. You can get a ball in there. I
Yeah.
mean, that's a whole thing.
gosh, that'd be nice.
So that's probably.
I'm getting excited over here to just rub a ball on my face.
Like a tennis ball.
What kind of tunes are you playing in there? Do you do any
Depends
music?
on the person.
like-
Def Leppard.
Mm,
What about tribal? I envision like bongos.
Oh
No.
I thought
This is
heavy
not-
rock
Mm-mm.
immediately.
Boys
so
to men.
sound is important, and it's got to be mellow, but not weird.
Any requests? Like people come in and say like,
No one
play-
requests it. Everybody likes my playlists,
Okay.
and they often request me to send them the playlist.
Afterwards.
Super chill. I use binaural beats in my classes, so
Yeah.
I use sound in the classes. For the end of my class is sleep optimization, so it's a non-sleep deep rest session, and I'll use that sound at the end of it in class. So, but yeah, when I'm stretching, it's just chill, super chill music.
What about cleanliness? I mean, so you said you sweat on people. What do you want?
Dude, let's clarify that. If you come and get stretched with me, I will not be
She's
sweating
just
on you.
dripping on top of you.
However,
When they come in, I mean, I feel like you have to have them have a waiver or something where it's like you got to smell a certain way. You got to make sure you showered. Really?
I stretch them. I stretch post. I mean,
Post
So
workout.
I got trained in an NFL combine prep program. We're
Oh,
we're
this is-
stretching right out of the gym.
Oh my god!
You gotta
Really?
want to do the work.
What do you do? Like, do you wear a
Just
mask?
stretch them. No, I don't. You
don't
can
do
put. You know what you can do? That's this is a little trick from the hospital. You can take some like tiger. Well, I wouldn't do Tiger Balm, but you can take some like menthol based Vicks.
Yeah.
Stick it under your nose. You're good. You're good all day. You're not gonna smell anybody. So
Okay.
that's a trick. But I mean, you gotta be willing to do the work. I mean, you know,
I-
I'm not
well,
gonna get the job if I'm not going to get the job if I tell them
Good
I'm
point.
sorry. I
Good
didn't
point.
stretch
You gotta
you
go
on
shower.
after they work out.
Mhm.
There's
Step into the
something-
shower.
I started doing jujitsu, and it's probably the most uncomfortable part is when people are sweating all over you.
And yeah,
You just
Well,
you just like hugging each
Distress
other.
tolerance,
and-
though. I mean, there's a mindfulness practice in that. It's the awareness that I don't like this. This feels gross, but I'm gonna win this match anyway. Y'all sound distracted by your discomforts, and you
Yeah.
got to tap into this
I'm
pro
the
level,
sweatier-
pro
we need a mindset
level
class.
mentality. Like
Holy
I'm
shit.
uncomfortable. Do you really think the pros are thinking about how the sweat feels on their body? No. Next play, we're
That's
winning.
true.
Like that's where I feel like that is what y'all are telling me. Distress tolerance. You're gonna win your match. That's what the mindfulness is about. I'm not focusing on this nasty sweat all over me from some other human being. I'm just going to destroy them, take a shower later, move on.
The worse you smell, though, in jiu-jitsu would give you an advantage.
Oh,
I think.
I'm tapping.
Yes,
if they're sweaty and smell bad, I tap out immediately.
Yeah.
I don't even
letting
bother.
them all know.
We just like start and I just tap.
Nope.
Don't shower.
Next,
They're like,
nope.
wait, you didn't even start. He didn't even touch it yet.
Let's talk breath work. I'm into that. How did you learn breath work? And like, what are some things that we could, like the average listener could do in the breath category?
I have done a lot of study. I base all my stuff on John Kabat-Zinn's work.
John Kabat-Zinn?
Yep.
Like as in zinnies that you put in your upper lip, upper deckies?
Yep. So you can look his work up, but it's...
Is Kabat his middle name?
I mean, it's like a hyphenated last name.
God, one of those.
Maybe he married a Zen. I don't
Maybe.
know.
Okay.
He's amazing.
Kabat-Zinn.
He's been doing it forever. He's the guy. He runs a stress clinic. It's been since the 70s. Like this is the guy whose work is the foundation of everything that I do.
Not Wim Hof.
Not Wim
You're
Hof.
Are you anti Wim Hof?
I'm not anti Wim Hof, but I think breath work is so complex. I think there are some breath work practices that push you sympathetic. My work is to be relaxing.
Good point.
That firework breath, fire breathing, that, you are telling your body you're stressed out, you're going sympathetic. My work is supposed to recover your body and go parasympathetic. So my goal is to downregulate your nervous system, bring you down. So all of the breath work in my program is from MBSR, mindfulness-based stress reduction. I've done an 8-week training course. I incorporated all John Kabat-Zinn stuff in there. I've, just taken all these ancient breathwork practices that scientifically are stimulating your parasympathetic nervous system through your diaphragm.
Yeah.
There's a million different ways to do it, and just blended it into the classes. People from home, I think the first thing you want to do is just start paying attention to your breath.
Like just thinking about breathing.
No.
No, actually. No, not that.
So part of mindfulness.
Thanks for contributing, but no.
Part of the mindfulness practice is to drop below your thinking and below your emotions, and to notice that you're thinking.
Okay.
Right? That's a deeper performance work. So I would say just to close your eyes and feel your breath. Just becoming aware of your breath. Just get it over there.
I want you to be aware of this.
Of my breath.
Did that sound? It didn't sound.
No,
right
I got a little.
either.
It kind of had a hitch in it, like when I breathed.
Yeah, there was a hitch.
In
through your nose, though. You should go in through your
does
nose.
I
that
teach
matter?
in and out through the nose.
Does it matter though? Honestly,
Yes.
it does.
But the one of the most effective breathwork techniques that we know of right now is in through your nose and an audible sigh out your mouth. So, doesn't it feel good?
Feel better.
It's natural.
I do feel better when do you do it? Are you holding right now?
No, I let out. I think it's just weird breathing.
I
at
thought you
someone
were choking on air there. I thought you were about to die.
No, I've tried a bunch of different ones, but they never feel bad.
He's not into this kind of stuff. I think he needs to be a little bit more mindful and out there.
I think my breathing is just great. How would I know if I'm just great at it in general?
Well, you're alive, so it's working.
so far,
So
so
good.
good. It is something that we need to work on. Everybody.
100%.
You don't think, you just don't think about without it.
And
you're
people
dead.
use their shoulders instead of their diaphragm.
That's stress.
Mhm.
That's okay. So say something's attacking you. You are
Like a bear,
like anything,
like a cat,
Like me.
yes.
Let's say it's a stray
You're
cat. 'cause
afraid of
that's
the stray
terrifying.
cat.
Let's
You know what your body.
Let's say Tom is coming at you from one
Pretending to
side and
be
a
a cat.
stray.
Me identifying as a cat.
All right,
coming at
my
you.
sympathetics are through the roof right now.
Your body, you naturally go like this
Right.
to
Yeah.
protect your vital organs. And this is the stress that even just and it doesn't have to actually be him dressed as a cat, identifying
terrifying.
himself
What
as a
color of a
cat.
Face
cat?
paint. I
Would
don't
you-
even
you'd
dress.
be like a black cat, probably, or a
yeah. And I actually take real cat hair and just paste it to my body. I don't I want it to be authentic.
And would you be meowing?
Yes.
Go with it.
Oh God, I almost choked. I got phlegm.
Okay.
I got
All
things
right,
going on inside.
Yeah, that is
Okay.
terrifying.
All right.
So let's get
what were you
back
saying?
on
Yeah,
top.
what
All
were you
right.
saying? if something's chasing you, you
Yeah.
curl
Oh yeah,
up.
that's how we
Everybody
curl.
under
Yeah,
stress,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it's not just something chasing you. It's anything you perceive
Right.
as stressful. It could just be your inbox and
Like
your
your work,
Gmail when
yeah.
you get there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, this can go anywhere. It's anything you perceive as stressful, and it's gonna hit that, and you're just tight, tightening up. So the breath work is just it's a tool. It brings your mind clarity. If it's a performance tool, it's going to help regulate your emotions. We know it changes the structures in the brain. I mean, it's so powerful to get into like the literature of what this stuff actually does over time and practice. So
there's something that I've been struggling with for a while.
There's a number of things.
But one is trap size.
they're too big or they're too small?
I don't know.
His are tiny.
I want them to be bigger.
He needs to get broad.
Why? Let's unpack
You
that.
got to have broader shoulders.
Yeah, like good traps are just.
That's what gives
Good.
you broad shoulders?
No,
What about the
no,
ratio
I just like the
of like
look.
shoulder to trap though?
To
Right.
neck.
My
Yeah.
shoulder girth is really wide, but my traps are too small. But I think I want bigger traps. I'm just not sure if that's balanced.
What do you think?
What do you think about traps? Because you probably
You didn't know that was coming.
Nope.
What do you think about
Because you
traps?
probably see football players that come in with massive traps. They're doing shoulder shrugs, 150 pounds. And then you see soccer
Lat pull
players
down.
come in and they have zero traps.
Oh God! Look at how broad these shoulders are.
Yeah,
I
but
played
there's
soccer.
So his trap. So if you look at his shoulders, they're very broad. But look
Shoulder to
look
trap
at his
ratio.
Yeah, like the
Yeah.
trap. There's not a
see it. I see
visible
what you're saying.
rise.
Yeah, but that's the shirt. That's just the shirt and the lighting in here.
If he puts his cat costume on, it
Yeah.
looks like a
What I'm a
whole
cat, dude.
nother
It's-
thing.
It's a whole nother level. Oh.
Takes notes. Put
Yeah.
on cat costume.
You're right. Work on
Quick, write
traps.
that down.
All right, hold on.
I'm like, what? Are you taking notes on? What did we
No,
say?
that's my go-to. I scribble and then I find like, oh yeah, this is what I want to ask her. On the breathwork side, the mouth taping is a thing now,
Mhm.
right? Have you done any of that, or what do you
I
think of
haven't
it?
done any of it, but I have practiced nasal breathing so much that I don't have a problem. I don't find that I am breathing in and out through my mouth very often.
Mhm.
All of my classes are coaching in and out through your nose. Even if I notice myself I don't notice when I'm asleep, but as I'm falling asleep, I'm breathing in and out through my nose. I could try it. I mean,
Do you keep your mouth closed? Do you wear a mouth guard? Do you do anything?
no, I don't. I haven't done any of that stuff. It's I think it's very beneficial and I could try it and deep dive into some of the literature around it. I think what would be very interesting would be if you are wearing a Whoop or an Oura Ring and you haven't done mouth taping,
See
but
what
you
that
have
does.
data consistent
Mhm.
across time, would be add mouth taping and notice how you feel.
Yeah.
And then get past that placebo of I just did something, I feel better, and then keep noticing how you feel and look at your data and keep training like you're training and see if anything changes. I mean, it's almost like the cold water thing. I'd love to try it more. I need to
Right.
do more of it. I'm sure it's really good. I need to add it to the list, but I think that would be interesting to know.
And what about kids? Because they're stressed out of their mind these days, it seems like.
They're
Or-
stressing me out. I don't.
General.
In general,
enough.
I'm stressed
Yeah.
because of them. I'm
Yeah,
just kidding.
exactly.
But the medications that are being given
Mhm.
to kids for anxiety and depression and Ritalin and ADHD and all the pharmaceuticals they're
It's
getting.
not just kids, but mental health there's an epidemic right now. And we already
Every-
know it. I
Yep.
mean, we already know it. And mindfulness has been proven clinically to reduce the signs and symptoms of anxiety and depression, to help with emotional regulation. And so the goal of this work is to give people the tools that can really make a difference outside of pharmaceuticals. And part of mindfulness is like empowering people to take accountability for their health. Like, this is a little soapbox of mine, but like, we cannot keep giving the responsibility of our health over to the healthcare system.
I agree. You're on the right show for that.
Keep going, keep preaching.
And coming from the medical world too.
Yeah. I mean, I understand
this.
the system. I understand where the system is. I understand the way the system works. I understand holistic health on the other aspect of it. And part of the goal of a mindfulness practice is, and that's part of the goal of my practice, is to empower my clients through the mindfulness, through the breath work, to trust themselves, to take accountability and responsibility for their health, because the system, it's not going to do it. It's not going to do everything it needs to do. It has to come from sleep and diet and nutrition and listening to yourself and taking care of your body and movement and exercise and sunlight and all of these things, which are so powerful and affordable, you know?
Well, and one of my favorite things about being in our profession is the people that come to us, and this is the same with you, they want to be there.
Yeah.
They're not feeling like they're forced to be there. It's not because they have no other option.
Right.
It's they want to be there and they want to get better.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, where you used to work, you don't want to go there for health. That's why what blows my mind is it's still considered a healthcare system. It's not. It's like the people you were working on the cardiac and lung world, they did not choose to show up there. They were having a crisis. And then now you guys in the medical world have to make a decision for their last couple decades of poor decisions.
Yeah.
And so
which stress is a huge contributor to inflammation, and inflammation is linked to all of these other disease states like cardiovascular disease, Alzheimer's. I mean, just start looking at it. So if a breath work and a stress management practice can reduce inflammation, what can we do with just that simple practice? Which also, after you've learned it, after you've had a coach like me and you've gone through it and you develop it and make it your own, you're going to do it over time. And it's so good. It's so beneficial. More people should do it. Kids should do it. We should have it in schools.
that'd be good.
And a lot of schools are doing it, or they try to launch programs, and we just have to find a way to really inspire people, I think, and communicate it in a way that's not so scientific.
Right.
That's not so parasympathetic nervous system and everyone checks out. And that's the thing about my classes is I want you to come in and have an experience. The people that come and take my class have an experience, and they feel it immediately. They feel what deep relaxation, what deep stretch does for your body. It feels amazing. It really does. And so I know once they feel that, they've achieved that on their own without a pill. They did it on their own. It was a discipline and a practice that I led them through. And now they feel this thing that they didn't realize they could, this place they didn't realize they could get to on their own. And if they want more of it and they're disciplined, they'll come back and do it again. And they'll come back and do it again. And they'll come back and do it again. And then over time, it's like with a mindfulness practice, if you're struggling with anxiety or a million different things, once you've practiced over time, you get into a situation and you realize, holy crap, I didn't respond the way I would have 6 months ago. Or I didn't have the reaction. You don't realize it's happened. You don't realize you've changed. You don't realize you have literally changed until you go through something and you're like, wow, I totally would have lost it 6 months ago.
Right.
Or I would have been totally dysregulated for days because of this one thing somebody said to me. You know what I mean? But I've learned to come back right here, all this stuff. So through the practice of that, I think, it can be beneficial in the school system. And just healthcare in general. Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
I think everything's moving more holistic because people want that, but there's still a big population of people that just go get a drug.
But it should have always been. That's what's weird to me. It should have always been this, and then sick care if you end up breaking these rules. That's what's weird to me is like it's a new-ish like fad that should have been always what health is.
But it's more of an Eastern practice than Western medicine.
Right. Definitely.
Right. And that's where like the money comes in and all that stuff. So working with a high profile athletes, do you ever have to sign an NDA? Like where you can't talk about
I've made them sign NDAs.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Like I've had an
wait,
NDA. Not like that. Not
what
like
kind of things are
that.
happening here?
Stop.
Not the answer
not
I
like
was
that.
expecting.
So, my method in my programming is my intellectual property. And so like I had an NBA player fly in to work with me in a biomechanics lab, and brought his trainer to observe and to be in the biomechanics lab and to watch me work and watch what I do and, unpack everything for 3 days. And so he likely just went home and probably just did what I did
Same
or
thing.
whatever. I mean, who knows what
Right.
he did? I don't really care. But, if I'm talking in depth about how I do what I do and how I have programmed what I'm programmed and the science and the way that I do it and like the secret sauce and all of it, which I've never really gone all the way into with anybody, I'll make them sign a 5-year NDA. If I work in a biomechanics lab with the staff, if I've got staff right there,
Right.
and if we're going through my program and we're unpacking it, like I had physical therapists and biomechanic PhDs go through my program with me to make sure it was great. And what can I do better? Is this on point? What can we do? Like,
Sure.
I want you to look at all this stuff. I had them all sign NDAs, but I haven't had anybody ask me to sign one.
That's
just to let
surprising.
I know. We always thought that was well, and I guess that leads like how did you get in contact? Like how did you become the person for the NBA, the women's basketball team, the
I'm not the
football
person
team?
There would be
for-
HIPAA. You'd have HIPAA stuff anyways.
Yeah, there's
that you
HIPAA. I'm
had, so
always
they
on a-
wouldn't need an
mhm.
NDA because you have to keep it quiet anyway. Unless
Yeah, I
they
mean, I'm a
sign
healthcare
something.
practitioner. So, anybody's personal health information, I will always protect. And also, if you want to work in with anyone, you need to respect their privacy, period. It doesn't matter if you're a professional athlete or not. I don't care. You know what I mean? I don't
Yeah,
care
for
who
sure.
you are. I'm going to respect your privacy, period. And I'm also not like a drama person. I'm not that person. And if you do want to work with high profile individuals or teams, if you should be able to work in a professional way where you don't need an NDA.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want my cycle instructor blasting me on social media.
I know. Or, I mean, really
Right?
though, you know what I'm saying?
I
Like
agree.
if you really want to
Yeah.
keep the job, and you should be able to function within that system as though there is an NDA.
You're not fangirling in there.
No, absolutely not.
But I think the golf world is really aggressive about signing NDAs with all
I
their
would sign one. I
professionals.
don't care. It's
Right.
there.
What are you
It's
gonna
their
say
life.
anyways?
They protect your stuff. Do whatever you want. I'll sign
Yeah.
your NDA. I don't care. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. For sure.
What about so do you have like specific assessments like say for a golfer? Like what are things that you would look at or maybe that they could self-assess to be like, "Oh yeah, you got to stretch this because there's no way you can get a complete swing."
It's going to depend on the client that's coming to me and how serious they are about improving. So if they're really locked in, if they're real serious, they're going to be disciplined. There's a difference between somebody that golfs and they want to get stretched because it makes them feel great and they're not so concerned. They're not
Right.
so like I need to be better, but they're just kind of want to recover and get stretched, and they're recreational golfers. Might not be as aggressive with it, but if they're a pro or a coach, I will actually, the first time I stretch them, I can feel it.
Yeah.
I can tell with my
Feel what?
hand what is tight.
Okay.
I can tell.
Feel what?
I mean, I will stretch through their entire body, forwards, backwards, left, right, and transverse.
Really?
And I will, just like a registered nurse would, do a physical assessment trained from
Right.
school on your entire body, head to toe,
Mhm.
and be able to remember it without writing it down. You know what I mean? Like I'm trained to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will remember, when I rotated them this way, that was a little tighter, and get through the whole body, and I can know on them. And then I will send them to the biomechanics lab that I work with for a further assessment that they'll do it like hook you up to electrodes
really?
and see your bones moving. And if I really want like a locked in scientific assessment,
Sounds
I can
awesome.
send them there, but they have to be motivated enough to do it. Or if they've got like something that I think is beyond my scope, maybe, some people will just walk in the door and they've got some pain and I feel like they need to be evaluated. I'll send them to PT. I'll send them to the biomechanics lab. I'll send them to a doctor, chiropractor. Yeah.
That was what you should have said from the jump.
I thought about it.
Then just went every
was
direction
like,
other than it.
A dentist,
Wait, let me know.
an eye doctor,
Podiatrist.
So
They ask me. I have tons of clients. A lot of my clients, I think you'll find, are the same kind of client base. A lot of them are doing both, getting
sure.
adjustments, getting
Mhm.
stretched.
Yep.
And I always tell them, they always ask, what do you think about chiropractic? And I'm like, you have to adjust the muscles too.
Yeah.
If you don't adjust the muscles,
Exactly what
they're
we
going
said.
right back where they were. This is my thinking only, but I'm saying you got to do both of them. If you do both of them over time consistently, it will work better.
Yeah.
Both of them will work better.
100%. What is there stuff at home that people could test themselves to see what areas they need to work on? Like, I think a gym class where we had the sit and reach and some of that stuff.
Yeah, they probably could. I don't do any of that stuff. I mean, if you can't touch your toes at home, if you stand up and you try to touch your toes, you're tight. You can feel if you're
like,
tight.
how much of a split should one, like, what's a normal
I don't
level
know
of
what
split?
a normal level of
Oh,
split
yeah.
is.
Do you want to do an assessment?
Do you know?
want to
No,
touch
my
your
pants
toes
are really
and do an
tight right
assessment?
now.
I don't do the assessment stuff. I mean, I'm not mindfulness is non-judgment. Mindfulness is non-judgment. I'm not here to tell the woman that comes to me because she wants to get stretched that she's not good enough. You're not flexible enough. I would never. That's not it. Right? That's judgment. So
but is there an end game though, where it's like I can do a split and my legs keep you know what I mean?
Depends on the individual. Is that your goal?
No, not necessarily.
In a cat suit.
I'm visualizing me doing. Yeah,
if that's your goal,
as sprawled out as I can,
too, just tearing them.
But I
it
think
depends on the individual. What do you want from it? Some people just want to feel good. They
that's
feel
all
great.
I just want to be able to feel good.
Great.
But I didn't know if there's like a overstretched, you're some of those
you can overstretch. Yeah, hypermobility. Hypermobility is a thing.
Yeah, you don't want
And
that.
you see it in the dance world a lot, especially traditionally. They focus on flexibility and not strength training.
Right.
And so they end up hypermobile. And then they end up with hip issues and back issues and all kinds of stuff. So there is hypermobility. I could probably feel it if I stretched them. I've stretched lots of dancers, worked with lots of professional and college level dancers. And they need to add strength. They need to add strength training.
Yeah, that's right. Have you worked on a gymnast? Like those to me seem like the ideal body. Like strength and flexible all in one, like a gym.
Yep. Yeah, they are. I've worked no
gymnast yet. I think after Columbia's hottest, sexiest podcast, you're probably gonna get a gymnast.
I hope so, with nice traps.
With great traps, good neck size,
That would be
good
good.
Well, maybe a
that's
tattoo on their thighs.
That's the assessment part. That's really interesting to me because I don't really have any issue. Like people, I'll go somewhere and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, what's bothering you?" And I'm like, "Nothing's bothering me." And they're like, "Well, where have you had injuries?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't really feel anything."
And yours is longevity.
That's exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So my goal would be I want in 30 years or 40 years to be able to adjust as many people as I do now without blowing out my shoulder, or blowing out my knee, or blowing out my back. But when I'm putting 90 pounds per hand overhead, I don't know if my anterior trap
You notice he's mentioned that twice now.
I don't know if my anterior deltoid is too strong or my posterior, or if there's a tightness that I should be stretching.
I think that's more a question for probably the biomechanics lab.
That's what I was wondering about.
Muscle assessments or like a physiotherapist.
So if you go to the biomechanics lab, they give you a printout and then we could bring you the printout?
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what people do. I send them there. They get a full assessment. I communicate with the staff and they bring me their stuff and then I adjust their program.
That's cool.
It's all custom work.
Really cool.
Yeah. Yep. So you can get a great assessment in Columbia.
Wow. Is it USC or is
it's Prisma Health Apex and it's Dr. Patel with the Movement Analysis Lab at the Lexington location of Prisma Apex.
Nice.
Yep,
Wow.
I've worked with them for 6 years.
Really?
So yeah, they're awesome. They do a great job. I have tons of clients that go to them.
What do you wear when you do that? When you go there?
You're fully clothed.
Really?
Mm-hmm. As far as I know.
Picture I thought it was like a spandex type of deal, like real tight.
Mm-mm.
How do
Randy
you
was
get how do you get the little prongs on you?
Yeah.
You just threw your
They tape
pants?
them onto you. You wear shorts and stuff,
Yeah.
and they tape them onto you. I mean, it's a legit lab. I got to go in there when the Therabody company had some products they were about to launch.
Yeah,
And I got to go in and observe the research on those products. And they were doing the same thing. They were taping them up and running all sorts of tests. And so if you really want the data on the assessments, go to the biomechanics lab for it, bring it to me if you
Interesting.
need to know exactly what you need to target. But for most people, I think in general population, it's like you, I want, to feel as good as I possibly can for as long as I possibly can. For me, my goal is I want to be able to go to Europe when I'm 70. I want to lift my luggage and be able to put it in an overhead compartment. I want to be able to walk the cobblestone streets of Europe, not in pain, not with back pain, not depressed.
Nice.
Depression is like the number one handicap in the world. So, that's what this work's about: reducing suffering, promoting longevity, feeling good, reducing back pain, non-surgical back pain, neck pain, hip pain, letting people enjoy the things they love, like golf, travel, jujitsu, all that stuff.
Randy just likes rolling around with guys. He doesn't actually like jujitsu.
I don't even like it, but I put it on my goal board to learn it this year. And now before getting into it, and now I just feel like I have to learn it to
finish.
But it's mainly
the
the rolling around with guys part that you enjoy the most.
That's the least,
Not
my
the
least
technique or
favorite.
anything.
The technique part, I don't. I mean, I like wrestling. I
he
like
does
wrestling
love when people don't want to wrestle. He likes that. What aches and pains do you have, or are you pretty putty and loose?
My back hurts when I stretch people too much. And that's only because I compromise my form, which I shouldn't, but I do a little bit. And I always explain so if I work too much, my back hurts, like most people in manual kind of labor work stuff.
Like, how long's a session? Is it
an
30?
hour.
Oh, it's an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Can anybody go long? Do you ever have to do longer, or do you have shorter?
Sometimes when I work with a professional athlete, we will tag on. It'd be like an hour of stretch and 30 minutes of the deep stretch type class work afterwards, because they need to get more static work in so that we can actually change their body. We can actually change their hips, especially in the off season. It depends on what part of the season they're in. If they're in season, we're just doing recovery. And if they're off season, we're changing bodies. I'm not trying to do anything crazy and change their hips and change their everything permanently. In season is more active recovery and mental work, mental rest, breath work, stuff like that, dynamic stretch, letting them chill. And then off season is when we make big changes.
What's the hardest muscle to stretch for you? And then do you have on the second question would be your favorite muscle to stretch? Is there a muscle you just are like, oh my God, this is so hard
Traps
to get?
And rhomboids are not really traps, but upper mid back rhomboids, hard to stretch.
Yeah.
Me stretching someone. It's not hard to teach someone how to get in there in a class. I can get through all of that, all through here, mid body, really easily coaching them. But me stretching them on a mat is hard to get in there, I guess.
Which one do you like to stretch? Like a quad?
Quads is easy. I like hips. People love getting their hips stretched out.
What's that? Is that like the lunge, the kind of lunge forward and
me stretching them?
Yeah.
Or them?
Yeah. How do you get them in? What's the hip stretch?
I cannot give out the secret.
You can't tell anybody.
Go to my Instagram. I post videos of it. You'll see some of it on my Instagram page. I'll post little clips stretching people. You'll see what I mean. Most people that come to me have never been stretched.
Right.
And so it's hard to explain.
And people are going for hip surgery like crazy when they hit their 60s and 70s.
I have young people who are going for hip surgery that come and see me as maintenance or post-surgery. I've got lots of back pain clients who no longer have back pain because they've added stretch. I get a lot of neck stuff. I mean,
common, yeah. Now when you did the online classes or you do group stuff, do you change your voice to be more soothing, or do you
Yes.
you
And
do?
all fitness professionals do that if
Really?
they're a good
Like
coach.
trained in
Yeah, you have voice control. You
Ooh.
probably do you do any of that with podcasting?
hey baby? No,
I've
No?
thought about it.
I think because I sound a little whiny every time I listen back. I'm like, oh
Me
my,
too.
I need
Yeah.
to.
Just stutter all over the place.
I gotta
Yeah,
get-
voice control is a thing if you're coaching a class. Controlling, you can control the cadence of the class, you can control the energy of the class. So yeah, it's absolutely
Really?
something. Yeah, it's something you learn how to do. Good teachers learn how to do it. And then especially for guided relaxation. And that's one thing I find with if you go online and you're doing a guided meditation, it's like if you don't like the sound of that person's voice,
getting
you're done.
comfortable.
And so for people like you might not like the sound of my voice in the meditation, don't do my meditations. You got to go and find the practitioner you like listening to their sound, you know?
Yeah. And then I only have two more. What tools for the at-home user? Like, is there any tools that you do like for stretching at home?
You do the stretching your body. Learn how to use your body and stretch your body. I use tools in all my classes because my classes are more restorative style. So we use straps,
Like
blocks,
those bands and
soft straps, not athletic bands. You can use an athletic band. You can use a belt. You can use a towel. But I coach with like a yoga strap, a release ball or tennis ball. So the tennis ball is a little bit softer than a traditional lacrosse ball or release ball. So usually if you're going to start, get a tennis ball and then blocks, yoga blocks for support. I mean, there's a range. You can use pillows, you can use bolsters, but in my classes, we use straps, release balls, and blocks in every class.
And then what brings you joy? Like, do you like when people come in really stiff and then you just work them?
Just when they tell me they feel great.
Just that.
I feel amazing.
Are you words of affirmation?
What do you mean?
Like the 5 love languages? Have you heard of that?
I must be if that's what I enjoy, probably.
Well, do you like gifts? Do you like?
Yeah, if they pay the bill. We've heard this stuff. Pay for your stretch. Tell me it feels amazing.
There you go.
All 5. You're somehow all 5.
And then I guess how do people find you? Where's your studio at? Where do you stretch people?
I have a private studio. If you book a session with me, you'll get the address. And I think if you head to the website, you can see all the virtual programs. If you want to unpack the virtual, what's online right now, I have filmed all of my programs online. You can get the 8-week only. If you just want to do 8 weeks, I'm going to go through the 8-week. I'm going to do it once a week. I'm going to see how I feel. You can do the annual program. The annual has it broken up into 4 different programs. So you can do the full length classes. And then I have 16 classes, which are shorter. They're like 20 minutes and they're broken up by body part. So like a coach can program for someone, or you could go in and say, I just want to work on my traps. I want to work on my neck. I want to do my hips. And then there's 6 shorter classes, and those actually build off of the Total Body Reset program. They get deeper in the breath work, deeper in the mindfulness, and they're only like 15 minutes. So those are intended to do daily if you want to do them daily.
Yep.
And that's all online at swatsonsolutions.com. You can visit my Instagram. It's Shannon Watson 825 at Instagram.
What's
Everything's
825?
on there. My birthday.
825.
You've got a big following on Instagram. How did that happen?
Just years of consistent posting and sharing and showing up.
Trendy songs.
Trending reels? No, didn't do that.
TikToks.
I never hit it. I didn't do
TikToks.
TikTok. I do have something for you guys.
Oh, nice.
So you guys can fight over who gets what, but you have to.
Let's show that.
Whoever's the hat guy.
SWS. Looks
Let
like
me
we're going
see
to have
if
to
I
share
can-
that.
And then,
Can you see that?
and then the only thing I want
There
one
we
of you
go.
to pick this, and you gotta wear it
What is it?
What is it?
full set. So who's the full set guy and who's the hat guy?
You know I love a good full set.
I think we just have to see who it fits better.
Good point.
They're large. That's a large.
Wait, are these like men's
Yeah.
stretch
What?
pants?
Well, it's a men's
It's-
outfit.
Because we were talking about there's no men's yoga clothes.
Yeah,
So this is kind of the category for-
Joggers.
This is
Wow,
nice.
these are
really
sassy.
nice. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's
Go
super
rep.
nice. Who came up with your logo?
Me.
You did that?
Mhm. It'll probably change at some point.
Yeah.
It's an S. What is it?
SWS.
SWS? Yeah. It's nice.
What's your middle name?
Coil?
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
What is it?
Wait, sorry. Sorry.
Rude. He's like, bah. That's funny. What is it really?
For some reason.
That's the stupidest middle name I've ever heard. Tell us the truth. What's your real middle name?
Well, for some reason I thought I was going to start with an S, but the
Shannon
SWS
Watson
is
Solutions.
Solutions.
Yes.
Okay, I thought it was going to be an S.
It is Coil. It's my mom's
Coil.
last name. She
Oh,
said, I'm going
alright.
to stick it in the middle
Oh, that's
so
a nice
you'll
way to
never
do
lose
it.
it. You'll always
Yeah.
have it.
Nice Northern Michigan thing to do.
Yeah. My brother got it too.
He has Coyle as his middle name?
It's unfortunate, but true. Sorry, Mom. I love you.
That's great. Well, we appreciate you being on here.
Yeah,
Thanks so much.
Thank you for having me.
Everybody go check her out. Check out her website, Instagram. See you next time.
Here
We're here for the health of it.
for the health of it.